Thomson claims to have shown, using the People Seeds thought experiment, that abortion, even in the case of pregnancy that resulted from voluntary intercourse, is morally permissible. So then you might be led to think that Thomson thinks abortion across the board from 0 to 9 months is morally permissible. But that's not what she thinks. Her view, her considered view, is more nuanced than that. And the reason it is more nuanced is because she thinks there are other considerations besides simply rights or justice that are relevant to abortion. So in Thomson's view, she reserves the word justice for or injustice for rights. It is unjust. What is injustice? It's violating someone's rights. If you violate a right, you're doing something unjust to them. And she would argue that in any abortion from 0 to 9 months, you are not necessarily doing anything unjust to the fetus. The mother does not do anything unjust to the fetus in aborting it. That is to say, the mother is not violating the fetus's right to life. In aborting the fetus, does nothing unjust to the fetus. That's Thomson's view. But justice and the violation of rights are not the only relevant moral considerations, according to Thomson. She gives a story about two brothers. Now, I have it up there. I'm not going to read it through, but the basic gist is there are two brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. The older brother, in this version of the story that she's telling, the older brother is given a box of chocolates. It's given just to him. And so he has a right to those chocolates, and the younger brother has no right to them. They were not given at all to the younger brother. And so now we're supposed to imagine the older brother just going to town on the chocolates, just eating them all right in front of the younger brother, and he's not sharing them, not sharing a single one with the younger brother. Thomson says, in this case, the older brother is not being unjust to the younger brother. The younger brother has no right to those chocolates. And so when the older brother just kind of goes through them and just eats them all for himself, he's not violating any right that the younger brother might have to the chocolates, because the younger brother has no right to the chocolates. The older brother is not doing anything unjust. Not unjust. But if this older brother refuses to give his brother any, he may very well be being greedy, stingy, callous, right? He's not unjust, but he is greedy. And so his behavior is nonetheless, it's wrong. It's not unjust, but it's still wrong because it's greedy or callous or stingy, right? This story about these two brothers is supposed to indicate something like that. It's supposed to illustrate something like that. Thomson thinks we can make a similar kind of distinction, apply this very same distinction to abortion and pregnancy. And so she considers a scenario in which pregnancy will only last for an hour. Instead of 9 months, let's say it lasts just for an hour. She says in that case, and then let's say the woman decides not even to put up with the hour of the pregnancy, because she don't want to or whatever. What do we say about that case? Is that kind of an abortion morally permissible? And what Thomson says is the woman who procures an abortion in that scenario, when a pregnancy only lasts an hour, that woman has not done anything unjust to the fetus, has not violated the fetus's rights, because the fetus has no right to be in the womb or inside the mother. Nonetheless, given that the pregnancy would only last an hour, She may well be self-centered, callous, indecent in refusing to let the fetus gestate for an hour. And so an abortion in such a circumstance, while not unjust, may nonetheless be wrong because it's an expression of this indecency or callousness, stinginess, greediness, whatever, self-centeredness, right? And so these other considerations are important, according to Thomson, important enough to render abortion impermissible, according to Thomson. And so a further case she gives is of, and I mentioned this in the first video, I believe, of a woman who is 7 months pregnant and decides to have an abortion so she doesn't have to plan a trip or replan a trip, right? It interfere with some vacation she's going to take. Thomson would say in that case, the woman has not done anything unjust to the fetus. She may very well, nonetheless, procuring an abortion in that circumstance may nonetheless be wrong because it's self-centered and callous. So what Thomson is doing here is she's pointing to these other considerations. She doesn't really run with them. She doesn't really develop these considerations in any kind of detail or at length. A thinker that we're going to be reading later, Rosalind Hursthouse, develops these kinds of considerations at much greater length than Thomson does.